Alabama first and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I just wondered if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we changed the center and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I knew you were 50 and I learned that coach couldn't take biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. On your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show can also be viewed on Facebook at Martin Houston Live and YouTube at Martin Houston Live, at Tide 109 on Facebook, as well as you can catch us at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us on the media outlets out there. Glad to have you be a part of the program. Also want to remind you that you can get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Alabama One hotline, once again, is 205-342-9904. The hotline is open for business. Invite you to get in on the conversation. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. We got a great show lined up for you. We got special co-host joining us today. X's and O's Xavier Houston jumping on with us a day early. He'll be with us through the entirety of the show. We will be adding DC Capstone Report to kick off the second quarter, and he'll be with us. So we'll have three of us here. But hey, listen, this is the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. So you're always welcome to call in, add in, text in, talk, whatever to get the show going. We had some great conversation with you guys on yesterday regarding the NFL draft. I had quite a few questions. I didn't get to those, and it may take us all week to get to the various questions that were raised by this, but we'll check with X and DC about, is Kirby the king of college football? We'll ask, did the draft vindicate Nick Saban? We'll dig down into that a little deeper. And, of course, the NIL and its impact on whether or not it's going to help. We'll continue that conversation from yesterday, whether or not that's going to bring maybe cause some guys to reconsider coming back. They can't have agents, but they can have marketing directors or marketing representatives. Will some of those guys that they've started building relationships with, who are also they're agents and pseudo marketing reps, will they start telling some of these guys, hey, listen, man, you can come back and improve your stock, get a little bit better, maybe improve your draft status, go ahead and make a little bit more money as a college player, and then go at it. We'll see if that happens as well. We'll also run down through the Alabama players in terms of the draft, those drafted, whether it's a good fit or not, and those who signed with a free agency, good fit or not. And I know you may think it sounds like making a mistake, but some of these guys were better off not getting drafted late in the draft and picking the team that they wanted to play for because of the fit. Kudos to Coach Spurrier, Steve Spurrier, and the late Eddie Robinson as they accepted the Nick Saban Legacy Award on Monday evening, presented by the Monday Morning Quarterback club. Interesting thoughts on the award is presented by Saban to a coach who has made a wide-ranging contribution to the game, from player and coach development to charitable contributions. Many of the same attributes. Saban, got to love seeing that 7-time national champion has brought to coaching. So, what do y'all think about those two guys getting that award?
I love it. That they're doing something like this, and it's pretty cool that you get to see Coach Saban do something and get his flowers even more so while he's still here. But also looking at just the simple fact that Coach Spurrier and what he meant to the SEC and how he was kind of the change of the SEC from being a really defense dominated league. He was the first one to kind of change that and be able to win with his offense. And of course, everything Coach Eddie Robinson did at Grambling, the amount of games he won, the players that he gave opportunities to that ended up becoming NFL legends. Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl among them. Just seeing them both honored was pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, kudos to them. On the other front, bad news for the Crimson Tide in terms of the off the field incident with Eli Ricks, getting stopped for speeding. And then, of course, in that one moment, ended up having two other things: no insurance, driving without insurance, which is not smart. That's the insurance guy in me. And then, of course, having marijuana and getting charged with possession. And so, small amount, little amount, lot amount is still an illegal activity, regardless of what and how we feel about it, regardless of which side of the issue you come down on. He still was in possession, and he's in the state of Mississippi, and it's illegal. So anybody calling up saying he shouldn't get it because of the small amount, he may not should get punished as severely as they used to, based on your opinion. But until the law changes, we're expected to abide by the law, because you can say the same thing about speeding, right, guys? I mean, well, why is it wrong? Yeah. Why is it wrong to go fast? Well, it's wrong to go fast because they put a law up that says don't go this speed in this area. So, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, you'd hate to see a young man make a decision like that. That could have been worse for him. It could have been more. It could have been, he could have been charged with reckless endangerment by going as fast as he was. There's those little things to look at, and it also makes you think about what are the decision making processes, and it can be a question of maturity and things of that. Hopefully for him, it's not too bad of a punishment, but you definitely expect something to come down from Coach Saban, who is very strict on these type of things.
Yeah, Mason, you have any comments on it?
I mean, other not anything outside of just it's a dumb mistake that he made. I don't think this is any reflection on his character or anything necessarily. And I hope that none of the fans and no one like that takes this as such, because I think I'm sure he's still a good kid. He just did something stupid.
Yeah, well, he's no longer part of the Tide, so I don't necessarily have the same protection level of what I report and say. But that's what they initially said about Ajay, and it proved that he liked it a lot more than people thought, and proceeded to have. So you hope that this is not the seed of something like that, right? For some people, they can't choose right, and like I said, I hope this is not the case for this young man. Hope it's a one-off incident. The thing about it is, I look at the speeding. I have no idea whether he was, under the influence of it or not, whether that was an old one or fresh or anything. But the biggest thing is, he could have being in that situation with no insurance and all of that, he could have also made, if an accident happens and somebody get hurt, then he puts himself and his future in big time danger as well. So fortunately, it doesn't appear that it's going to be nothing bad happen, outside of him getting arrested. That's a good thing. The question I have for you guys, does he get suspended? Or, I mean, I don't know. What does he get suspended, or does Saban do one of his things where he takes care of it with internal, as Curtis Moore said. He said suspend a couple games and then in-house suspension. I'm not sure he gets suspended for a couple games. Um, there's a lot of stuff to do and punishment that can be handed out between now and the first game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be a multiple game suspension. I look at it as one game tops. Maybe there's some things he can do between now and then that turn it into a half a game. I would not expect to see him for at least the minimum of the first half of the Utah State game. But yeah, I mean, I would say one game suspension with an ability to do things to work it down to a half game suspension.
Mason?
I feel kind of the same way. I think it's very disappointing to see it happen, but I don't think he's going to get. So I don't think the hammer's going to come down too hard on him or anything. I think at max we'd probably see a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, and that's what I think probably that may happen. But and reckless, and Curtis pointed out, when you get reckless in driving endangerment, you were going, well over the speed limit, so 25 miles per hour or more. That's like I said, that's the scary part of what could have happened. And whatever happens, you hope that the young man learns his lesson. I tell people often, thank God that not everything that we do when we're 18, 19, 20 years old is everybody's business, right? So let's pray that the young man learns from this. And like I said, he didn't come in and take over the position anyway, but part of that's maybe injury related. That doesn't help him. But maybe this catches his attention and makes him dig in to get better for the Crimson Tide in the offseason, and we see what happens. We're going to go ahead and get the break here. Coming back on the other side, we're going to get into the draft with DC and X on today's program. You can get in on the conversation on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. And remember, Alabama One and the Big Green Egg. What do I mean by that? You can win a Big Green Egg by simply participating in our current promotion where we're giving interest rates. Listen to this, as low as 1.99 on commercial and ag equipment. So if you're out there, you're looking to farm equipment, hey, we can help you there with great interest rates. Or hey, you may not be looking to do work. You may be looking to go out and play. You may be looking at some toys, recreational vehicles like boats, motorcycles, RVs, ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, as low as 1.99 there. And remember, if you get that loan qualified and closed, you can get entered to win one of those Big Green Eggs. We're giving away 12 of them, 3 down, 9 to go. That's the Alabama One promotion right now. Get that Big Green Egg when you close that loan for as low as 1.99. Go to alabama1.org or visit one of our branch locations, and they'll be glad to assist you right there. That's Alabama One together.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything looking pretty good as we start our Tuesday morning. If you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on a used vehicle at Townsend Nissan. home of the stress-free purchase. I'm Captain Ray.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name, Mesrano, 206-6300. No representation made. The quantity legal services to be performed. Takes where the quantity legal services performed by other lawyers. Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Work is a part of all of us. We know that the world around us has changed, and that's why the Alabama Department of Labor is eager to get you back to working hard. It's a part of all of us. Let us help you get back to it by visiting your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, ETA, and Federal WIOA, and Equal Opportunity Employment Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Hey, is this Line Secure? Franco cybersecurity firm secured a contract, and that's all we're allowed to say.
We have a green light on hiring.
He needs web security professionals with a military background.
3 teams of 4, 24-hour rotations, but Protocol Zulu is on a need-to-know basis.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard, so you can stay organized and connected all the way to the hire. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another warm day today. The sky partially sunny, just a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will be dry. High today 87, tonight's low 67. Tomorrow a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered storms by afternoon, the high 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Ready to get things going. Want to remind you that Taco Casa is your best choice for your lunch needs. Go check them out for lunch and or dinner. That's Taco Casa, quality, taste, value, and the biggest cactus in town. You can find them in Northport and in Tuscaloosa, and also one location up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. Tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. All right, we got DC in the house. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great, Martin. How are you this morning?
Doing well. DC, we got X on with us this morning. He jumped on with us as well. So I'm probably going to sit back and let you guys run things this morning. But DC, big time weekend coming off. I held some of the conversation over from yesterday and wanted to get you and X's thoughts on the whole NFL draft as a whole, in terms of did Thursday, Friday, Saturday solidify the title that's kind of running around out there. King Kirby. Is Kirby the king of college football after winning a national title and locking down 15 picks in the first 6 rounds of the NFL draft?
Well, I want to
Kirby. I'm gonna reserve that for having a little more longevity. I think this is just an indication of the good recruiting classes that Georgia had in 2018, 2019, and the great team that they had this year. I mean, to me, it just solidifies the great coaching job that Coach Saban did to get an Alabama team as far as he did.
Yeah, X.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with DC when you look at it. I feel like he had one great. We've seen this before. I think the 2019 LSU team had 14 guys drafted off of that team. So it is so I'm not really that sure.
Xavier, you there?
Yeah, I'm just not really that sure if I would consider him the king of college football.
Yeah.
A little early to be discussing Kingdom right now. I think X is definitely correct. We've seen this with LSU. We've seen this with other teams. Can Kirby Smart maintain this level of excellence and this level of high play and can he do it for an extended period of time? Coach Saban, in my opinion, is still the king of college football. He's done it, continually does it as on a high level, and it seems like everybody forgot. I mean, I think all the Alabama fans forgot. I mean, and I think all the Georgia fans have forgotten that this Alabama team that everybody's saying was down, the least number of players drafted since 2016, and blah 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 blah, happened to beat this Georgia team in the SEC championship. I think I remember that. I don't think I slept through that. I believe they beat this Georgia team, and so this is not something that you can just crown Kirby Smart as the best coach in college football, no matter what the talking heads or the pundits want to say. You got to have evidence to back it up. You just can't say something. I can say I'm in an airplane all along. You can go down to the airport and get in a hangar, but that doesn't make me an airplane. There's got to be evidence there that it's the truth. I think the evidence is still lacking in Kirby Smart's tenure as Georgia's coach.
Yeah, well, I told people, okay, if you want to crown him, it's sort of like coach for a day. You get to be a coach for a day, but you don't get to be the king of college football. Now he's the king for the year. We'll give it to him. We'll give it to him and let him be the king for a day. And you know what he did is amazing. Kirby Smart has done something that's never been done in the history of football. Period. I mean, he broke a glass ceiling, so you have to recognize that, right, DC? I mean, he had 15 guys drafted in the first 6 rounds. No coach in the history of college coaching has ever done that. That's the good news for Georgia. The bad news is, DC, no college coach has ever done that. No college coach has had 15 plus because that's the draft picks. That I don't even know if I hadn't even checked to see. Like we had 7 guys drafted and 6 signed as free agents. Well, Georgia probably had 1 or 2 free agents. I hadn't even checked that side of things. And 5 in the first round, never been done, you know. And one of the guys we all thought would be a 6 rounder fell because of a story regarding his pectoral, and the Eagles probably ends up with a gold mine in the Kobe Dean, because the guy can play football. And Kobe Dean reminds me of the old Mike Singletary. Hey, he's short and all of that, but they talked about his football IQ. So no, the good news is Kirby did something nobody's done. Bad news, Georgia fans, is Kirby now has the opportunity to do something no one's done, and that is he has to come back and coach a team that had 15 plus NFL players on it, not counting some of the guys he lost in the portal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think
you give him all the recognition he deserves for this year. I mean, he's done an amazing job. I'm just not ready to crown him king of college football because it's not how you do in 1 year; it's how you sustain that makes a difference. And so now is the worst news for Georgia fans is now he has to repeat that after losing that many players to the NFL. So LSU couldn't do that. Clemson has not been able to do that. Alabama. And Coach Nick Saban is the only coach that's been able to sustain that in this period of time. You don't have to look any further than you go back. You're talking about the Miami team that Alabama has tied for the most consecutive years of first year draft picks. That's a team that sustained it for a long time. So history will show how Kirby Smart has done.
Yeah.
In a few years, but I don't think we can crown him in 1 year. I agree, give him props for what he did this year. Fantastic job. They did a great job, and obviously had some great players to help them do that. Now, can they sustain that and do it again next year with the players they have left?
Yeah, and I would have to say Dabo Swinney is doing it because you have to remember Nick Saban had 2 years down. Now Dabo is on that verge of if he doesn't do it, because remember only a couple years ago we were saying Dabo was the king, right? And then last year we were like, Dabo's falling off. So now Dabo is in that kind of that. So we'll give them both Prince, right? They're Prince Sweeney and Prince Kirby, but the king is still Nick Saban. I got a follow-up question counted to Nick Saban and his reputation as a coach after what he did this year. And all that, but we do have a caller waiting to speak with you, DC. Tom, you're in with DC Capstone Report. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? How y'all this morning?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, good. Thank you. The thing about king of college football is it's okay to brag on somebody, but what's going on is anybody can say it by the media, mostly coming out of Georgia, and now some others have picked up on it, and it's kind of revisionist history. You know what I mean? And to some degree, and the Georgia fans are kind of to use it to write off Alabama in their dominance, and they're trying to put somebody else up there to take the place, and they're trying to do it with cost. And that's what's going on. And hey, and the longer we talk about it over here, they get what they want. So clickbait, boys. That's all I've got to say to you. And but the reason I called in this morning was DC. My question today is: isn't it time for us to get off this marijuana thing? I mean, my Lord, somebody all around athletes, all around everybody, well, we should legalize it. Well, it's legal in this state. It's legal over here. It's legal over there. Well, if you get a doctor to write your prescription, you smoke all you want. And here we go, punishing athletes again for something that everybody in the world is doing. And I'm not, though. I mean, I'm not a marijuana advocate, but I do see that it's useless as to what's going on, this debate of whether or not. And here's my point. I knew a guy that played in the NFL, played at safety, back when safety was encouraged to stick their head, lead with the head to make the tackle. And the guy was good at it. 6'3", 240 pounds, he's skilled. But sticking his head in there caused him a lot of pain. And you know what he said? He said, marijuana gives me the relief I'm looking for. It's time for us, isn't it time for us to think about this?
Well, I think there's a emerging law all over the place, Thomas. But I still think that you have to maintain. It's inconsistent in the states where you can and where you can't partake of marijuana. So I think that because of that, they're going to have inconsistent punishments for people who break the law in those states. I think you'll see this being a little less punished than it was in the past because of that. But the bottom line is this, Tom, it's still the law. And I know that every player at the University of Alabama gets a good lecture about it. I know that every player at the University of Alabama is told when they leave, if they're going to do it, make sure they're not in a state where it's not legal, and make sure that they don't have it on their person. Make sure they're not speeding. They have all these things they go through. So still, I think there's going to be some punishment from it based because of discipline, because he broke the rules of what I would have to say Coach Saban did with internal team rules, and that'll be why he's disciplined. I do agree with you about marijuana and around the nation. It's completely inconsistent how it's leveled out and
Right.
the punishment is given. And so I think that is something we have to look at down the road.
And Tom, I'm going to come from a different angle. I don't agree with you. And that's what we do on this show. I'll let you share. I think it's a gateway drug for the people who don't go down that path. Good that they don't, and for the people who use it for medicinal purposes, great for them. But there are a lot of lives and families and individuals ruined as a result of it. But that's the same thing with alcohol. You know, I feel the same way about alcohol. So you see what I'm saying? So that I'm not trying to be judgmental about the people or whatever, but because something becomes popular, because something finds more uses, doesn't mean that you legalize something or you make it more available, because you could open a floodgate that when it becomes legal, then it becomes more abused. And so that's my concern there. But you know, I let you share your opinion, I share my opinion, and that's kind of where the nation is. That's why you have some states that say, "Yep, good." Some states say, "No, not." Um, but you know, my thing is this: until the law changes, you have to learn to abide by the law. You cannot take the law into your own hands and not suffer the consequences. Um, and so, if he was breaking the law, he broke the law, and that's the consequence of it. Now, I do agree. I don't think it's going to be the punishment that would have happened years ago. But I guarantee you, if you ask Nick Saban, if he had his choice, he'd like to get it out of his program because it hurts his players. His players are not better. There are not better football players as a result of it. I'd be willing to bet he'd stand on that hill and proclaim that. Because we say it's natural and it doesn't hurt. Well, I probably disagree with that, but you know, we all have our opinions and our thoughts on it. But either way, agree or disagree, until it's legal, there's consequences if you break the law. Just like speeding in the right situation, may be justified, right? If you're following behind an ambulance and you're trying to get to a hospital and the ambulance is trying to get there, you want them to be able to what? Break the law and go faster than But on the other hand, if it's in school zone, you don't want people speeding. So what do? You keep a law to protect those kids in the school zones versus getting rid of the law and letting people speed however they want. And that's the way I feel about marijuana. So any closing thoughts, rebuttal, whatever, Tom, if you want to say anything?
Well, I just say I agree with all that. The law is the law. You're exactly right about that. And but my point is the hypocrisy of the punishment for and as far as gateway drugs and all that kind of thing like that. Here's the deal. Let me tell you something. It's more doctors throwing people out than anybody on the street corner every day or day. But that's not my argument. My argument is it's time to look at it and unify the things and think. You know, you go to a doctor, you get CDB and all this kind of stuff here. And it just seems like it's time to rethink our position on some of these draconian laws. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's Tom here. Hey, listen, that's what I love about this. Go ahead, DC.
One thing I had that discussion is just because something's legal doesn't mean it's okay to do. in Coach Saban's eyes. There's a lot of things that are against team rules that are definitely legal for anybody to go out and do.
Right.
So you got to be careful about when you start talking about punishment. The punishment will be for breaking the team rules that Coach Saban has set down.
Right.
And so I think that's something we got to be careful about saying. It's like trying to argue what has the greater consequences and something. It's hard to do that when you don't know what the rules are that the discipline is trying to instill in his players. And you're right. Partaking in that as in alcohol or anything else is not going to benefit the player. Or smoking tobacco not going to benefit the player.
Right.
There's plenty of studies out there that shows that the players don't gain from that; they lose from that. And you don't have to look very far in Alabama history to find players that were great players, but marijuana derailed their career. I mean, you can see that. I mean, I went to school with one running back, probably the best running back ever in Alabama history.
Yep.
In Lenny Patrick out of Jasper. And Lenny just could not put down the marijuana. We all knew it. We all went to school with it. We knew that. I mean, he just couldn't do it. But had more talent probably than any running back ever to come to the University of Alabama. And showed flashes of that, but couldn't reach his ability because of his distraction with the marijuana and what it had done to him. So there's all kind of cases out there, and I agree with you 100% that. My point in all that is, Coach Saban is going to discipline a player based on his internal discipline. We're not going to know what he does anyway.
Right. Yep. And with that said, hey, like I said, this is Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Now, most of the time you're going to get to share whatever your opinion is, unless I think it's out of bounds. But thanks, Tom, for bringing that. That's Tom's view. We've given ours. If you want to comment on it, you're welcome to call in and comment on it. We're going to continue the conversation around draft picks and the NFL and all of that. And as I go to break, I'll tell you, just because things become more popular, more accessible, and more people are agreeing with it, don't make it right. Thus, I think why we're in the shape we're in as a society. So I might be old school, but I still believe in boundaries and different things like that to a certain degree. But I'm also willing and open to look, talk, and have conversations that I may disagree with. You can educate me if you like. This is the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Appreciate you being a part of it. We got DC's Capstone Report. We're talking NFL Draft right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center to active wrecks, everything looking pretty good as we start our Tuesday morning. If you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on a used vehicle at Townsend Nissan, home of the stress-free purchase. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
People who suffer from long-term chronic joint pain spend so much of their time acting, putting up a carefree front. It's exhausting.
I was really tired of trying to act like I wasn't in pain because I was in pain all the time.
Rick Rawlings didn't want everyone else to know that he was coping with agonizing shoulder pain 24/7.
Yes, I had to put on a face to cover up my pain.
But then Rick found QC Kinetics, offering new lasting treatments for joint pain using natural biologics. Treatments designed to restore and repair joint tissue with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The results were amazing.
It changed my life doing the QC Kinetics. Today my shoulders feel wonderful. The cranky Rick is gone. He's not grouchy anymore.
No more acting. Feel like yourself again with a call to QC Connects.
Call QC Kinetics, 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941. QC Kinetics, 205-686-1941.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We got DC Capstone Report. X had to step away for something personal going on at home. He may be able to rejoin us, but for now, it's DC and I and you, if you'd like to get in on the conversation, courtesy of the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. We got several calls waiting, but I want to get your thoughts, DC. Give your thoughts overall, DC, on just the draft as a whole.
Well, I think the entire draft as a whole, it's maybe a little down year for talent.
I agree.
A lot of good talent taken there. I thought quarterbacks not going high was kind of telling as to what the quarterback play around the nation last year. I thought there was some good defensive talent. But I think the defensive talent going first, it shows you the NFL, where the NFL is going with trying to stop the passing game. And so I think that it's kind of telling where the NFL is right now on how many defensive players were drafted high in the draft. And so I thought overall it was fun 3 days to watch. I was able to watch most of it. Good atmosphere, that sort of thing. And as far as Alabama, SEC, of course, SEC remains dominant again. So my observation is that that's not changing anytime soon. That the SEC still has the major talents. And then I look at some of the statistics afterwards with some of the states like Texas and Georgia, Alabama, where the most players came from, and it shows why the Southeast is so big in college football and why the Southeast is so dominant in the conference of football play.
Yeah, and you have to be excited. Still 7 Alabama guys going in the draft. I agree. The top end talent to me was down. I think the middle of this draft was really, really strong talent wise, and guys could have fallen or came up either direction. And like you say, a lot of defensive edge rushers and defensive backs chosen early, and then the people who didn't choose those chose offensive linemen to protect those guys or receivers to catch the ball. That's kind of like the whole first part of the draft was either a DB, a defensive end, a tackle, or a wide receiver. I thought that was interesting. No tight ends taken in the first round. No running backs taken in the first round. Only 16 running backs taken, I think, 2 fullbacks. Fullbacks making a comeback, y'all. Look out now. But anyway, overall, interesting draft. We got some callers. And callers, before I bring you on, we're probably going to have to move you pretty quick so that we can get all of you in. But Joey, you in with DC Capstone Report. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen. I haven't heard you speak to it. And it's congratulations to everyone who got drafted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, how many of those guys are going to actually make the teams? And is there a minor league for football Years ago, there wasn't, and basketball developed it for the NBA, different little leagues. You know where I'm coming from, Marv? I mean, Georgia might have 15 guys who were drafted, but only 5 of them make the NFL.
Yeah, Georgia probably will end up with.
They can talk about it. I got to run. Okay.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I think that the Georgia draft picks, a lot of those guys are going to make it. Some of them are guaranteed to make it. DC, the first 5 are guaranteed to make it, barring an injury. I know Nakobe Dean makes it, but when you see linemen like Sawyer drafted, when he was drafted, he's probably going to make. I think with the Chargers, even though he was a 5th round draft pick, I think. He's probably going to make it. And so the percentage wise is not that, but I don't know that there will ever be a minor league for the NFL because the NFL know that they have a minor league system called the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, and then they go out and find a few guys from the smaller schools.
Yeah, I think the reason we don't have a NFL minor league is because they use the college football.
Absolutely.
Minor league and Power 5 school.
What minor league coach you gonna find better than Nick Saban getting a guy ready to come play in your program?
Most definitely. That's why you see so many players. You have 5 or 6 players on some of these teams like New England, Baltimore, and different teams that have really gone to that well and saw how great they are having relationships to this, how good they are to develop. I'll take these players, they come in and plug and play, or come in a year and they can play. And that's why you've got players at Alabama that got drafted in the 5th round or 4th round different times. They're still called on and still playing with some of these teams.
Yeah.
And not only Alabama, but I'm sure Georgia's going to have a lot in this draft out of the 15 that's going to kind of catch hold at least for a year. Like I said, some of them are guaranteed to make the team because of where they were drafted, but there'll be some others that'll be pick up. That'll be great picks, and there'll be some undrafted free agents that'll be signed that'll actually make the teams because of the way this draft was. Most people say, "Well, it's a down year to draft. That you should have more draft picks." No, not necessarily, because it's so bottom heavy. It's so it's hard to pick who you want. And so I think not getting drafted for some of those players was a better deal because they got to pick and choose what team to go to that they could make the team. So I think you'll see some of them make the team as well.
Yeah, I without a doubt. We're going to go ahead and get the break here. Pat, Max, hold on. We'll come out to you straight out of the break. But, yeah, not getting drafted, if you're in that 7th round, I could have been Mr. Irrelevant. I was on the phone with Sam White and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be Mr. Irrelevant. They had drafted a fullback earlier, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Browns, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Falcons, all of those teams that called me and said, if you're not drafted, we want you to come be a free agent. And all of those teams represented a better opportunity for me. Now, if my marketing brain had been working DC, I would have been Mr. Irrelevant. but anyway, hey, let's get the break here. Quick break here. Coming back on the other side, we're going to have Pat and Max to close things out with DC Capstone Report.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on the board this morning. We are starting to see an increase in traffic coming into Northport from Pickens County in that area. If you see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on a used vehicle at Townsend Nissan, home of the stress-free purchase. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning, Mercedes-Benz U.S. International has presented a Habitat for Humanity with a $200,000 donation to support the efforts of the nonprofit's Operation Transformation Initiative. One house at a time. This initiative will allow 40 families to purchase homes with 0% interest, 30-year mortgages, providing the family puts in at least 250 hours of labor during the home's construction. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Todd Franklin, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
Tuscaloosa Gunsmith does gun repair, modifications, cleaning, Cerakoting, and laser engraving for guns, and they sell Black Rifle coffee. Tuscaloosa Gunsmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association at this station.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with DC Capstone Report. DC, tell our listeners where they can find you guys.
DC Capstone Report Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at DavidCott50, or you can check out Lance Shore's other sites at freelancepictures.com or rolltidebama.com.
Yes, sir. And DC and them, they're kind of taking a hiatus on the podcast, but they'll get that going back. And so stay tuned. But until then, DC will be on with me each and every Tuesday morning like he's always been. Pat, you're in with DC. What's on your mind, sir? Pat, you still there? Pat? Okay. Go ahead.
Hey, Pat, good morning.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I hear you, Pat.
Okay. And anyway, I thoroughly agree with you, Martin. I think that the Kobe Dean is probably the best value linebacker in a draft as far down as he went. You have any idea why he went that far down? It shocked me.
They said he had. Go ahead, DC.
There was some medical issues that were leaked by some of the teams about a pectoral injury that he had, and he had been given the advice on majority of the team doctors to have surgery, and he refused their advice to have surgery and wanted to do it recovery based on physical therapy and other things. So that's why he slid in most people's eyes.
Okay, I was wondering what it was.
But you know what's crazy to me is but the kid from. That's why, let me tell you something that people don't realize. That's why it's about relationships, Pat, because what's his name? Joby, the kid from Michigan, he has an Achilles injury. He's probably going to be out for sure for the whole year. And he went in the second round, but guess what? His brother was his head coach in college and the former defensive coordinator for the Ravens. I mean, the defensive coordinator for Michigan is the former coach on Harbaugh of the Ravens staff. So they said, don't you pass on this guy. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just all about the film and the study and all that. And undoubtedly, Kobe didn't have anybody saying, listen, this guy's going to be ready to play. And if he doesn't, he's still going to be a player. So it's amazing how, like I said, I think sometimes these guys just CYA. They just cover themselves. If you don't meet the numbers or the measurements, then they're not going to take a chance. If you mess up as a player, Pat, because you are 6'5", 300 pounds, and you don't pan out, it's on you. But if you're 6 foot, 300 pounds, and don't pan out, the scout gets fired or the draft person gets fired. So thanks, Pat. I'm gonna give DC the closing word.
We'll call back tomorrow and talk about this marijuana again.
Yes, sir. All right, man. DC, I give you closing thoughts.
Well, I just think that overall we've discussed a lot today about the draft. I think that in the king of college football, I think in a nutshell, Coach Saban is proven in this draft. 7 players in the draft, 6 undrafted free agents that are all going to have opportunities. He's already proven he's the king of college football because of his longevity. And I think that's something that can't be overlooked. The proof is still waiting to be told on who can take that mantle from him. No one's done it yet. So I think it's still in the works.
Yeah, and we may pick this conversation back up, DC, because I think Nick Saban was vindicated as a coach in developing coaches, because he went toe-to-toe with that Georgia team, beat them once and had a chance to beat them twice. And, of course, we know he was down a couple of superstars. So close, but no cigar for Nick Saban. But Nick Saban will be back. Will Kirby, yet to be seen. Thanks, DC. Roll Tide, man.
Thanks. Roll Tide, Mark.
All right. Hey, that was DC Capstone Report. This is the Martin Houston Show. A lot of different conversation happening, and even conversations and discussions over on the chat. So go check that out as well if you want to know more about what some of those guys were talking about online as well. For the Martin Houston Show, for Mason, for DC, we say roll tide. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll tide, everybody. Catch you on tomorrow.
Have a great day, Martin.
You too, Mason.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.